Hi, my name is Pete Novom, and I'm the training manager at Okemo Mountain Resort. I'm also a national team member for PSIA and Aussie, and today we want to look at some movement prep activities that will help you keep yourself safe and strong for the season.
Hi, I'm Allison Schneider, registered physical therapist working for workplace physiotherapy clinics in Whistler, BC, Canada. I've worked closely with Whistler Blackcomb Snow School. Because of this, our team has a unique perspective on preventing injuries in your profession. As industrial athletes, you perform under various environmental conditions with great physical load and are required to perform at a high skill level. Just one of these types of demands increases risk of acute or chronic injuries significantly. Anything you can do to mitigate the risk can help the longevity of your career and your health. We suggest doing movement prep on a daily basis. This reason is twofold. To activate your neuromuscular system, we're not trying to stay warm. We're trying to activate groups of muscles before they're asked to work in a high performance situation. The second reason is creating a baseline for daily self-assessment. You need to get comfortable with the repetition of a self-assessment to help prepare and compare day to day. Things you're looking for during this type of self-assessment is hot spots, pain spots. Are they getting new? Are they new, old? Are they getting better, worse? Do you feel any limitations or restrictions in your movement that might affect your performance? Are you fatigued? Are you having difficulty concentrating? All of these things can be assessed when you're doing this movement prep. And especially if you do it every day, back to back, you start building your own baseline. If there is something going on, if you have a concern, then you can use this to inform your supervisor or trainer and adjust your day accordingly. So we've designed these exercises. So standing nice and tall, rotate your head from side to side, reaching down into flexion as far as it feels comfortable. Don't push too far if it's not comfortable. And then we're going to roll shoulders forward using our shoulder blades. Again, standing tall, taking some deep breaths. So we would do 5 times forward and 5 times backwards.
I think this is a really cool exercise because you're typically looking over your dominant shoulder for going forwards. And I know that after a day of snowboarding, I feel like I need to spend some time looking the opposite direction.
Really reaching with your hips. Again, spending a little extra time if you feel a little more resistance one way versus the other. We know that pelvic mobility and hip mobility can be impacted more on one side than the other. So really reaching from side to side and going 5 times one way and then 5 times the other way. And just trying to reach towards any sort of resistance. Make sure you're staying tall and watching that you're not arching your back too much. So here you're going to stay nice and tall. You're in your snowboard stance with your lower body. Put your hands behind your head so your elbows are nice and long. Try not to put too much pressure on your neck. Turn left and right. Go nice and slow. You can maybe pause at the end and don't forget to breathe. Standing into your snowboard stance, you can make it as wide as you would your position on your board. Have your hands on your hips. Stretch tall first, then reach towards the wall beside you one way and then the other, making sure you're tall first and then arching. Take note of any resistance, limitation, and try not to move too much into any discomfort. Back off if you feel it.
We spend so much time just standing on our gear. That's a great exercise to just keep looseness and limber throughout the torso and back.
So here we just have a general squat. You are going to go into a sumo squat. So that's a really, really wide squat. You might be a little limited by your boots, but you should be able to get fairly low. Obviously, taking note of any resistance if you're shifting from side to side. Try to remedy that and try to go equally between both feet. Ideally, your position with your feet would be wider than what your normal stance is. You can see long back, really sitting hips back and down, less bending through your knees forward.
I like how you've customized this for snowboarding by making the stance a little bit wider. And, based on that, it's gonna allow you to flex a little bit more evenly through your feet. You're also gonna see that the legs are a little turned a little bit outward, which is could be a little bit more like your snowboard stance. What I would recommend here is that you stand in your actual snowboard stance for this, and not try and make up something new.
So you're standing nice and tall, feet hip width apart, bringing knees to chest, again, about hip width apart. Trying to come up really through the knees. And then we're also going to do a few out to the side. Again, coming through the knees, straight to the ceiling, trying not to arch through the back and letting the pelvis drop.
A bit of a common theme here, but we often use a fraction of our range of motion when we're out snowboarding. And this exercise is going to pull your leg through that full range of motion in the hip socket. And it's going to help fight stiffness and inflammation and other things that can really slow you down.
So here we're doing heel sweeps. You're stepping forward, leaning on the back foot, keeping your back nice and long. Keep your heel up, reach towards your leg. You do not have to touch your heel. As you can see, the snowboard boots actually allows you to bend into your hamstring a little bit as well. Keep your back nice and long, and just reach as far as it feels comfortable. If it doesn't feel comfortable, back off, and you don't have to go as far.
Anyone that's ever dealt with back pain while sliding around on the mountain will see that this really uses your range of motion through your whole back, hamstring, and up through the hip. It's pretty cool, and I think not something that we fully see or fully use when we're just standing on our equipment.
So here's a backward lunge. So you're going to stand nice and tall, reach back, stretch your hands back towards each other. Keep your stance nice and wide and long. So here's the side view, making sure your neck stays relaxed. Don't force the movement too much, and just watch that you're not arching your back.
Again, similarly, right, this motion is in the opposite direction that we often use in skiing and snowboarding, right? And so working through the opposite range of motion means that we're balancing out all those moments of flexion that we do with our body.
So here we prep our joints and our lower body, prepare the mechanism for jumping and impact for the day. Bending through your knees, jumping through the air. For high performance professionals, you can do 90 turns, 180s to really kind of get your brain ready for that before you get on snow. Be mindful of anything that feels odd. Try to reach and push through both sides. Try to land on both sides, and keeping that nice and balanced. If you are not on stable, solid, clean, clear ground, do not jump. Please stay on the ground, and you can do a version of it, but don't leave the ground. So that's the end of the movement prep exercises. We're asking that you add this to be part of your day. Reflect on where you are at, taking note of any body's restrictions, pain, stiffness, general fatigue, or, for lack of a better term, offness. If you feel 100% when you do these exercises at the start of the season, the goal would be to feel 100% with them at the end of the season. Taking action quickly for something small generally is a lot easier than waiting and dealing something that might end up being bigger. Taking action can be adjusting your mentality, talking to your supervisor, adding more recovery. There's a lot of little things you can do when something is small.
A lot of these exercises are different than some stretches that you might do, right? Tell me a little bit about maybe why that's important, and why you would categorize these as movement prep rather than just stretches.
the group of muscles that we expect in skiing, but we're not going to reproduce that off of snow in the same way. So we're taking pieces of what those muscle groups are doing in unison and trying to get them to act together. When we ask the body to act before we put it under load, we're going to find out where it's at. It's going to change day to day. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but we want to be aware of it. If we ask our neuromuscular system to activate before we put it under load, I think that there's just a better chance you'll get a higher performance, you'll get more longevity in your, and you'll just create more self-awareness.
It's my observation that also because there's movement involved, it much more closely resembles skiing and riding as a warm up. And you can stretch and you can stand at the dinner table, you can hold on to something, and you can do it in isolation or statically. But the fact that these require balance, range of motion, and some stability, it strengthens and stretches at the same time, and much, much more closely resembles actual skiing and riding in the real world.